Well, I'll give some of my uninformed sports analysis, like a commentator. I think the way the Lakers can beat the Warriors is if they score more points than the other team.
Wow, we would have never believed this. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google. Go out there and listen to us. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too. Relevant Rants. I'm here with Alex Howe, our producer, on-set director, and what else do you do? I mean, you do everything else.
I do a lot.
Yeah, you basically run the company. So we're here today because Mike is out. He's got a funeral to go to, a death of somebody who's very important to their family. Mm-hmm. So Alex and I are here just to bring you the relevant rants that we see this week. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, we got a crazy week for you guys today. Yeah. But also, before we start that, we got to give a shout out to our Star Wars shirts, thanks to Steve Southers of Sports Slander West. I don't know the lingo, but I hear it a lot, and we have the logo for it. But yeah, District Boulevard, something like that. But yeah,
go out and watch our Muscles Matter, because Steve's a host on Muscles Matter, and Steve is always light and funny and very knowledgeable about fitness. If you need nutritional supplements, he's a guy that you can trust. So, talking about trusting, I mean, we got a hot topic coming out right now, and it's a CNN article talks about man dies after being put in chokehold by another rider on New York City subway, official says, and the DA is investigating. You know, how does that DA have time to prosecute Trump and then jump into something that that they've also got going in New York, Manhattan? Very busy man.
Yeah.
So let's slow this. You know, Alex, you and I talked about it. You have to slow the subject down, because it's not always what you think it is, and we're not even sure what it is now. But it's not CNN's headline, because it just throws it out there and seeing if it sticks.
It's rare that any of this is taken at I'd never almost take anything like this at face value.
No, you can't, because as you and I have seen this morning, there's more to what happened. So Jordan Neely matters, but where were progressives when 27 others were killed on the subways in New York? Yeah, I think that's important, because this might not have happened had they taken the other deaths more seriously. So Monday afternoon, Neely, 30, was menacing people on an F train in lower Manhattan, according to witnesses, when another passenger put him in a chokehold. Now that's from the New York Post. So we got the CNN coming out one way, then you got the New York Post coming out another way, but they're adding some color to it. So then we get a couple of, we got a senator and AOC jumping in on this. So what happens is two men having to restrain one man, a black man and a white man at that. But apparently the gentleman became restrained, was lynched. You know, and I think this is because Senator Julia Salazar, a Democrat, said in an interview that Neely was lynched. This man was not being violent, she said, certainly not threatening anybody's life, which is
I'm going to doubt that.
Yeah, that's because that's what a witness said that was there. So I think Senator Salazar is now embellishing, which, you know, she has a right to do, allegedly. And it goes on to say that he wasn't threatening by his life, and this other individual on the train felt completely empowered to physically attack him, hold him down in full public view, in a full subway car, and end his life. And she said, I use the language lynching because it seems that people were cheering it on and felt that it was justified in some way to commit violence against this man who appears to be the more vulnerable person in this situation. I think we hold on here, Point, because I think, according to the other article, if this guy's being menacing, according to a witness, he wasn't the most vulnerable person in the
Also, what's the context of being menacing? That could be like some guy strung out on drugs just yelling at nobody, or it could be like you're about to get assaulted by that person.
Well, you know, we do hear some other language that talks about this guy saying, "I want food." Well, if he's homeless, that is typically a line. You know, they do. You know, Mike Harvey and I were in L.A. once about 6 months ago, and I was on the phone, and there was a homeless man that was in front of our car, basically got a sign that says, "Give me money." And I looked up, looked down, and all of a sudden I looked over, and the dude's standing at my window. And Mike had pulled the visor down because the dude was like, obviously not happy that Mike wasn't giving him money. So Mike put the visor down, which didn't make this guy happy. So then he came and started cussing at me. And I was on the phone going, "What?" I looked at Mike, and I'm like, "Dude." And he goes, "Well, I just pulled it because he wanted money. That's what he wanted." Mm-hmm. He wasn't selling for anything.
He wasn't even
else.
asking. He's just like, "Give me money."
Because we weren't giving in to what he wanted, Mm-hmm. And this was right after the homeless encampments in L.A. I mean, looked over, and they had a really nice tent city over there. Oh, so homeless people want a lot of things. Absolutely. This guy wanted food. The guy that approached Mike and I and was unhappy with us because we didn't give him money. So I don't know how upset this guy did, but it says, but before Neely's death from March 2020 until early April 27th, people lost their lives to murder in the subway, and many of them, like Neely, were homeless young people.
It sounds like we need to ban subways.
Hey, subways are now the problem, right? But it says, where were AOC and Cobain when homeless soccer player Akeem Looney, 32, was murdered by a stranger who slept on the subway? So we have another person, a homeless soccer player, was murdered by a stranger who was sleeping on the subway. So we have another homeless person that was murdered by somebody on the subway. Where were they when Claudine Roberts, 44, also sleeping on the subway, was fatally knifed by a stranger when Cobain talked about it and calling it a 1 in a million event? Well, I guess this is 2 in a million.
27 in a million, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So I think we have a little more picture. People pick and choose what they want to bring out, because we do have a picture of this, mm-hmm. and we captured it quickly because I don't know how much longer it'll be on the internet.
Exactly.
So if you zoom in on it, you can see the picture that is circulating the internet, which shows a
chokehold.
Shows a white man having freely in a chokehold. But if you zoom out, which we will show you the full picture, you have a man of color, a black man, holding Freely's hands. So obviously that man felt the circumstances needed his help to restrain mm-hmm. Freely. So, you wonder what this man's opinion is. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't once just a one person lynching another person. There was another person involved. But if you don't show the whole picture, do you get the whole story, Alex?
You don't. You never do. And I will play devil's advocate a little bit, because I guarantee you, maybe because of adrenaline and whatever goes on in that situation, because lives are on the line sometimes, agree. Especially in a big crowd in a subway where people have been known to be killed. Maybe the individual who choked him out went too far, and I would kind of go out on a limb and say he probably did go too far, because he probably could have just knocked him out. I don't think he went. I didn't think he looked at that person and was like, "I'm going to kill you today."
He didn't get on the subway with that intent.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
And given maybe for other context, maybe there was PTSD involved, because wasn't he a military person? I believe so. And so, not that it's justified, but I think it's less of a hate crime and more of a freak accident.
Well, if Senator Julia Salazar is saying it seems that the people were cheering it on, they were the ones that were being menaced, and they were just glad that somebody took action.
Yeah, and I don't think they were screaming, "Kill him." I think they were just being like, "Yay, someone's stopping this guy from harassing everybody."
Menacing is what the witness said.
And I guarantee you the person holding that other person's hands was also not hoping that that person was going to die.
But he was probably in agreement, we need to subdue this person.
Exactly. Restrain.
Yeah,
or
restrain.
And it just went too far.
Yeah. So if certain people, if people are saying, "Oh, these other 27 were 1 in a million," maybe look at the city's problem. Let's just say this because it's who we are, because mm-hmm. we're going to say it. We're going to mention our opinion, because voices are now getting as loud as the complaints, mm-hmm. because you have this circumstance happen in a liberally run city.
You don't see 27 people getting murdered on get buses every year.
No. Yeah. So there again, think about that one. Think about maybe before you look to a social issue, you need to look at the way you're governing a city and how you need to help protect the citizens of that city. So,
Is there security at subway stations?
I think there is. I don't know, but they might be defunding them.
Yeah.
I don't know. So as you have the homeless problem, and we see that all over America, we see it here in Bakersfield. They're still trying to curb it. We have a situation that it's been playing out before our eyes all week. We had 5 people shot in Texas, and there was including an 8-year-old, and they were shot execution style. And so the story that's coming out now, and we're using a couple different ABC's news, and we're also using Fox. But there was a guy, and he's a 38-year-old Mexican national that law enforcement officials are searching for in Texas for allegedly murdering his neighbors. And he's an illegal alien who has been deported from the U.S. 5 times. So they found out that this guy's a problem because what appears to happen was the neighbors went over because he was drunk and shooting a weapon off in his backyard, which this isn't the first time. It appears that there is another time where the police went out and asked this person not to do this. So we see this fugitive of killing 5 people who has been deported 5 times. That means he's returned.
Wait, the police asked him to stop previously, and they didn't confiscate his weapons for
I don't know.
illegally discharging them?
Hey, I'm just reading some of this stuff. So allegedly they went to his house.
I get Texas is a bit free about weapons.
Yeah.
But usually, like, wouldn't he get deported right then and there too?
Well, so he's been deported 5 times. So maybe
that was one of the
that was one of the previous times. So he got back in.
Mm-hmm.
If he got kicked out 5, this has to be his 6 times coming in, right?
Yeah.
If I count right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a problem, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So not only do we have a homeless problem, but we got a illegal alien who obviously entered our country as an illegal alien. That is a problem. He killed people. And I don't know what he got deported for the other times.
It's probably also nefarious things. This person, in a general sense, does not seem to be a very kind individual. And what I also say is there's a lot of red flags on both sides of things. It's tragic that entire family was shot and killed. However, even if I have a weapon, if someone is opening fire in the other yard, I'm calling the police and getting out of the house. I'm not going to confront them because anyone in their right mind is not going to be opening fire in their backyard or wherever he was shooting.
Yeah. Well, the family went over there. Some of them paid with their lives. And it sounds like 2 mothers were laying on top of some children, and some children survived.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a terrible circumstance, but it's one that I think we have the capability of stopping. Like the homeless, we got to provide services. We do that in Bakersfield.
Absolutely.
Down the street from our church here in Bakersfield, California, which is where we're broadcasting from, California, is that we have a navigation center, which is low barrier, which we actually have some interaction with. Mm-hmm. The guys come to our church, the gals, and we go down there and help them out. We just did. The navigation director, Theo Dews, was attending our church. So we've got a homeless problem, and we've got an immigration problem, whether anybody wants to recognize it or not. And especially some of the people that leaning on the Democratic side, because Title 42 is going to end this month, and we're going to open up our borders more if they aren't open enough. We've talked about that enough. Hello, if you're a legal alien, you shouldn't be allowed to come into our country because that makes you a criminal.
Exactly.
So our great governor of California, Governor Newsom, and we just have to give him credit all the time because he keeps reaching new highs. The IRS reported data. Governor Newsom, man, you do a great job. I think he was Salesman of the Year for U-Haul.
He was, absolutely.
I think we've all experienced the fact that you can't rent U-Hauls a lot of times in Bakersfield, and I think you had a problem with it because they're all going one way.
Exactly.
And they aren't coming back to California.
And now, thanks Newsom, it's now cost an arm and a leg to even get a U-Haul or a similar vehicle to move out of the state. Yeah. It almost kind of works out in his favor. It's kind of a genius plan. It's like, I'm going to make U-Haul so expensive, you can't even afford to leave.
You've given some taxes that are made. So here's new IRS data. As high-income Californians move elsewhere, poorer residents move in. Isn't that ironic? It's funny because I think they're filling in the Californians that are moving with the migrants that are coming into California, which of course they're going to start at the lower economic end of the scale.
Mm-hmm.
But Newsom has plans to help move them to the top, because you can become a law enforcement officer now and you don't have to be a citizen. So, Gavin Newsom, I think a lot of your ideas that are out there don't work because he's called in the National Guard to help police San Francisco. Look that one up. We talked about it last week. Look at our episode last week. Newsom is a failed governor. He is.
The more and more, every single day, it seems like I want to get out of here more and more.
Oh, my gosh. Hey, we'll talk more about that coming up. But, hey, so as you have people coming in, hey, here's an article. Teachers sound alarm on growing problems in school and saying that colleagues are leaving in droves. Yeah, Governor Newsom's, he's getting rid of them. So we have lawyers for California teachers in school that are requiring them to lie to parents about kids' genders. We also have...
That always goes well.
Oh, man. We also have 2 teachers in Escondido who sue the school district and state leaders over gender identity privacy policy. So you cannot give a minor an aspirin at school. My wife's the superintendent of a school district here in Bakersfield, Kern County in California. And that is positive. I ask every day when she comes home. And she goes, we still can't. But we're having to keep things quiet. And I applaud teachers that are taking a stand. My wife makes stands at her school district, and she's able to work with her board, her teachers, and they're able to come up with policies that are helping students in her school. But here you have teachers that have to go so far as to sue a school district and lawyer up so they don't have to lie to parents. Because parents come in every day, and teachers, and my wife has a saying, if parents don't believe everything that their kids tells them about schools, they won't believe everything the kids tells them about what goes on at home.
If I ever find out that, like, if my son ever says, oh, yeah, my teachers encourage me to lie to you, they're getting pulled out of that school.
Absolutely. And that's your right.
Yeah. And because what else does it tell you? That it enables children to start lying from the get-go.
Yes.
And once that starts, it's probably extremely hard to stop them from lying to you.
Well, it's become a battle line between schools, employees of schools, and parents. That's never good. Whoever thinks these things are good are just having wrong thinking, but isn't that the same crowd that thinks men become women and women become men?
Yeah, and it's fine, and it seems like just like, oh, if the parents may disagree with that, they're the problems. They're the ones that need to have their children removed from them.
Well, can we just say parenting belongs in the home? And we're seeing a lot of educators say that. So if the parenting for children that the parents believe need to have a discussion about their identification, then that should belong to the parents' home too, not at the teacher school. Let's get back to what the school really is there for.
I feel like in the last 5 years, it seems like it used to be the kids are getting their education, and that's the general subjects of certain like math, science, whatever. Yeah. And now it just seems like, oh yeah, we're not. That's a thing that we're teaching, but also we're gonna just indoctrinate your kids without your consent.
Yeah, it's one that makes a person go, huh? Especially sound minds. So there again, if you're watching our show and still watching this episode, you're probably tracking with the way we feel and believe. But a CEO with Anheuser-Busch, we keep bringing this up, not because we want to hit the transgender issue, because we're tired of talking about this, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely.
On our show we are. But it keeps showing back up in the public. Now, the public is doing something which is quite interesting. The CEO distances Anheuser-Busch from Bud Light Dylan Mulvaney controversy, saying it's not a formal campaign. So I'm starting to wonder, are you lying to us again? Because if it wasn't a formal campaign, you guys are a terrible management group. And maybe the CEO needs to be another one that loses his job. Because this company needs to be run top down, not middle out. So if somebody's making this decision at another level, you got a problem. But they're talking about this, that they didn't know what happened. Well, the public knew what happened because it was announced this week that Budweiser lost 20% of their market share.
Did they lose $6 billion in a day?
I think they're losing more.
I'm sure since then,
it's
more.
funny because they're showing pictures of a baseball diamonds concession stands, and no one's in line at the Budweiser booth. So what's happening is they're hitting grassroots, which I love. It should be decided at grassroots level. So Budweiser's lost 20% of their market shares. But guess what? Coors and Miller have announced that they've ended up with 21% of their market share.
Thanks.
So the beer drinkers just switched. So they said, we don't like what you're doing with your product, so we're going to buy somebody else's. Well, isn't that the consumer's voice coming in?
Exactly. And I'll actually admit, hypothetically, I don't drink Bud Light because I think it's crap. But how I felt about it wasn't the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing initially. It was the reaction from Budweiser and people responding to it, saying that, if you disagree with this, you're either a bigot or you're homophobic or transphobic. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm definitely not going to drink Bud Light because I'm the villain either way. So it just backfires either way.
Terribly. So the consumer has done what the consumer does. They voted with their dollars. So, hey, whatever side on that aisle you're on, that one, chew that one up and deal with it. So my wife is, as we have Dylan Mulvaney going to Maybelline. My wife the other day, I go, honey, does that bother you? Because it doesn't bother me. Because guys that are thinking they're women are going to put on makeup. So Maybelline's using them now. My wife goes, no, that makes me mad. I'm not buying Maybelline anymore because they tell me that a man can show me how to put on makeup better than I can.
What I have noticed that too, and there's a couple of comedians that joke about this. They basically said the biggest thing initially was that sexism was men thinking that men are better than women overall. And we somehow won that argument by doing everything a woman can do and then still getting credit for it.
I think Caitlyn was Man of the Year a few years ago in Time Magazine, and it's Bruce Jenner, which was one of my heroes as he won the triathlon at the Olympics. I think it was, there again, this was a guy. Now he said, no, I wasn't a guy, I was a girl. And he doesn't agree with men competing against women as transgenders. And there again, I think you got a problem out there if that's the side of the street you stand on, because you haven't convinced everybody in that community. How in the world can you convince anybody else? And you won't convince me on that area. I'm a daughter dad, and if this would have happened during my daughters, I think I would have ended up, because I would have never gone for this, because I want to see my daughters have a level, fair playing field.
Exactly. And I love that Caitlyn Jenner is actually an advocate for separate sex sports.
Yes.
And he's not, whatever, I'm canceled anyways.
We can't keep it straight.
That basically, it's like cut the crap. Like, it's like, we if you want to do what you want to do, go for it. But the thing is that if you're going to try to say, I'm a transgender from a male to a female, I'm suddenly equal playing field with other women, you're lying to yourself.
Well, you can't cancel your XY chromosomes. You know, you can't. So I think you're lying to yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there again, we have the Biden crime family. Now, I can say this with a little more confidence because I wanted to give old Joe the benefit of the doubt. I really did. You know, I mean, there again, I didn't vote for him. And I know that won't hurt his feelings because my voice is like muted in his life.
But people voted for me?
Huh?
He'll be like, people voted for me?
The dude's old. The country, it embarrasses me. It really does. I do have some friends that voted for him that are saying, hey, I think you're right, Tom. He's just not sure what planet he's on when he wakes up. But that's okay. That's okay. They're talking about running him again. But now we have a whistleblower. Alleges FBI has evidence of Biden engaging in bribery scheme with foreign nationals.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a call right now. So the fact that the word like the acronym FBI is in this title, nothing is gonna come out of this.
I would agree with you, but now since they have a whistleblower, it's going to be interesting where this lies because you have a lot of things happening now where the DOJ is being put under pressure because there's a GOP that's pushing this issue. So we're hearing the left come out, and they can't come against whistleblowers because it was an alleged whistleblower that got the Russian thing going, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was, and they said, "Oh, you have to acknowledge a whistleblower." So if we got a whistleblower alleging that,
they have to acknowledge or have to incriminate, because usually it's
yeah,
the other way around.
You can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
So if a whistleblower was seemingly allegedly reliable, then he's got to be reliable now, or her, whichever. And so as we're out there, there's a lot of stuff coming out. I'm going to say this. I think they're going to throw Hunter under the bus. And I think there's going to be I think Biden will have to say, I forgot. This is a good time for Biden to pull the old man card. I just forgot. You guys are right. I am a little not cognizant. And I think they'll run the bus over Hunter because they want to retain power. I mean, Biden wants to be reelected. He's announced that he's going to run. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you. I mean, run, baby. Mm-hmm. But I think they're going to run the bus over Hunter. I think there's too much. I think the tsunami's coming in.
Well, here's a question because I'm younger, so I'm not super familiar with past presidents before I was born. Mm-hmm. But so basically, with I was thinking the Watergate scandal and Bill Clinton.
Let's even go into Reagan. I was there and I voted for Reagan, but the whole Oliver North thing, the Sandinistas, that was a problem for me, even back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I saw it because you had a Democratic Senate and House mm-hmm. and that kind of thing. And they said, hey, don't sell guns to the Sandinistas. And I may have got that wrong. It's been a long time. And I am getting older. I'm 65. But I had a problem with that. Well, I think there was definitely some shenanigans that went on during that.
But my question was more so, how early did people find out about this corruption before any type of prosecution had begun or accusations?
It was always after the term.
Because I feel like with the Hunter Biden stuff, it's like we've known about this for years now, and it's not like, oh, it's some bombshell that happened all of a sudden and then they're already reacting to it and they're going to impeach someone.
Well, there's an alleged cover-up that's going back to the 51 allegedly FBI agents or political figures that said it was bogus.
Well, also they claim that, there's a study that was actually done after the whole Hunter thing became mainstream. And basically they found out that studies show that Trump would have won the election had people widely known about the Hunter Biden story.
Well, I think even some of the social media platforms have said that. Mm-hmm. Deal with it. It's your problem out there.
Allegedly.
Yes, allegedly. Hey, California. We're going to end on a feel-good note.
For once in California.
The minute and a half. Here's good news because we are in the Western Conference playoffs. Los Angeles and San Francisco. Cities suck. They do. Both of you suck. I lived in L.A. I mean, I get it. San Francisco is a terrible, but you're not going to see that because the Lakers and the Warriors are playing in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Hey, Lakers, great job. Game 117 to 112. Fantastic game. I was so excited. I know L.A., all my friends are happy. All the Lakers gear came out on Tuesday, man. It was, on Wednesday. All the Lakers gear. I mean, sporting the gear, and Warriors fans had a lot to talk about because it was a good game. And then comes game number 2. And I'm telling you, if you're a Lakers player and you're okay with losing by 27 points in game 2, man, you need a reality check. Game 3 is going to come up. I don't have a horse in this race. I don't have a horse race. Hey, I won the Mr. California title that I'm having to live down in 1985, and I take no responsibility for the state. I was a bodybuilder. I placed second in the Mr. LA in 82, I think. My memory doesn't serve me right. But there again, hey, it is what it is. But when you take a trouncing by almost 30 points.
How often does that happen, by the way?
It doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, they're talking about how it was a big deal. I mean, I think, is one of the largest point spread. But wow, I mean, LA, I don't think you can celebrate game one win after having such a terrible loss. Warriors, hey, you took a 5-point loss, but you were in the game on Monday night. Lakers, this is back on you. You're going to LA for the next game 3. Good luck. I don't have a horse in this game. I'm enjoying it.
This reminds me of a meme that I saw. It was like a fake article, and it was before like the whole Kanye controversy. It was like a few years ago, and it was like Kanye wins 107-2 against like a bunch of wheelchair team. I don't know why them losing that badly reminded me of that.
I don't know. I watched the game last night and got totally bored because Golden State was up on them 30 points. I think with 6 minutes to go. They took all the. I was watching it and I started realizing all the starters are out. Los Angeles threw in the towel 6 minutes in, and it was. I wasn't impressed with the second string teams because they missed so many shots. But hey, I'm not a basketball guy. I'm not built for basketball. I enjoy sports.
I don't even watch sports.
Yeah.
Well, so I watch racing.
I will be watching game 3. It kind of more of a hilarious moment is like, how do the LA respond? And Warriors, hey, you guys aren't embarrassing yourselves. Lakers, you stunk up the floor last night. So
well, I'll give some of my uninformed sports analysis, like a commentator. I think the way the Lakers can beat the Warriors is if they score more points than the other team.
I get entertained by the celebrities in the stands. Jack Nicholson was back on game 1.
He looked so creepy. I think I saw that image. He was like,
they didn't show him last night, though. I don't think they did show some other notable characters in the news. So
for sure.
Hey, Alex, I love doing this show with you. I think you do an amazing job behind the camera, in front of it. Hey, this is let us know if you like it or don't. If you don't like us, you probably aren't watching us and you aren't subscribing, but subscribe and comment, and we'll read your comment. We may not agree with you, but that's our opinion.
We won't delete it unless it's like really like inappropriate.
Yeah, it's our right. It's if you want to watch us, we love having you as audience, but we do have opinion, and I still think free speech is in, right?
I hope so.
Yeah. Sometimes we try to get shouted down, and the mob tries to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we do have trolls, and thank you for watching, and you must.
Thanks for the free view.
Yeah, yeah, love that. So hey, have a great day.